What happens after the ball of chewed food is pushed down the throat? Yes, it travels down the food pipe. The food pipe is simply a passage in our digestive tract which takes the food from the mouth to the stomach. But it had to be given a fancy name. It's called the esophagus. The bolus formed in the mouth is sent to the esophagus. This part which starts here and ends at this point is called the esophagus. What does it do? What happens in this region? The esophagus simply connects the mouth to the stomach. All it really does is transfers the food from the mouth to the stomach. No digestion occurs in the esophagus. This is a major point. No digestion happens here. Does it mean that the food just rolls down the esophagus and enters the stomach? It does not work like that. Many people assume that food just rolls down to the stomach, but that's not true. Once the bolus is pushed down by the tongue, the muscles of the esophagus lining contract and gradually propel the food down. Yes, the muscles gradually push the food down to the stomach. So it is not the gravity that pulls your food down, but it is the contraction of the muscles that propels your food to the stomach. It means that we can have our food lying down or even when we are upside down. What is this movement called? I'm talking about this propelling of food down movement. What is it called? It is called peristaltic movement, and the process is called peristalsis. The muscles squeeze the food forward by contracting. That's what happens in the esophagus. But wait, the windpipe lies very close to the esophagus. The food pipe and the windpipe are located very close to each other. So why doesn't your food sometimes lose its way and enter your windpipe? This is the mouth where the food is taken in, and this is the region where the throat ends and splits it into the windpipe and the food pipe. Remember, the food pipe is also called the esophagus. If you look at the figure closely, you see a flap here. It allows the air into the windpipe when we breathe, but closes to disallow the food into it. How amazing is that? Air is allowed to go in, but food isn't. This flap is called the epiglottis. And what exactly is its function? You can say that it saves our life every time we swallow food. If the food enters the windpipe, it would block the airway and we would potentially suffocate. So that's how the food is sent to the stomach through the esophagus. At the end of the esophagus, we have something called the lower esophageal sphincter. Yes, a fancy name again, but it's simply a valve which guards the entryway to the stomach. And if something goes wrong with this, then the food can leak up from the stomach and gives us heartburn. It just prevents the reflux of the stomach contents. That's pretty much what we needed to know about this part of the digestive tract. Let's quickly review what we have covered so far. The food enters your mouth, you chew the food with your teeth, it mixes with the saliva which is secreted by the salivary glands and forms a ball of food called bolus. The bolus is pushed down the throat by your tongue where it enters the esophagus. The muscles of the esophagus contract to push the food down to the stomach, and this is called the peristaltic movement. And don't forget, no digestion occurs in the esophagus. In the next video, we will see the role that the stomach plays in digestion.